Today? You have had a day.
Yeah.
We need to have the.
Oh, thank God.
Love to go back to.
Gonna go ahead and get started, everybody.
Why, I shouldn't even came on the.
Yeah.
Like
today.
it's hot when you got here.
You're
but-
spreading the bugs. You're
We
spreading
can
on the bump.
shut it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like. I can't
So where did you end
sleep.
up going?
I know myself.
Okay, there you go.
I should, but yeah.
Thank God no one was like.
It's already running.
that.
Okay, so we're leaving a couple of.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for coming. Happy New Year. I'm happy to say that we have a quorum here. I think so. Is that right? You verify? Okay, good. Good news. So we're able to begin the meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and then I'd like to do a roll call. We have some people online, I presume, as well. One person online. Okay. Often people will join as we go, and we have a couple in the room. But since we don't all know each other, if you could go around and just say your name and your role on the LSC, that would be great. Can we start with the students over here, please?
Catherine Tallmer, student representative.
Jai Lee, student rep.
Laura Yepes, parent rep.
Amy Zemnick, parent rep.
Alicia Hernandez, parent rep.
Eric Steimler, principal.
Peter Tallmer's parent rep.
Zach Hofeld, community representative.
Leslie Gonzalez, parent rep.
Great. Thank you all for coming. We open each meeting also with public participation. So anyone who'd like to make a comment, you can come do so. We just ask you keep it to 2 minutes, which we time for fairness. So if there's anyone in the room that would like to make a comment or anyone online, please walk up to the podium or raise your hand.
Hi, I'm Amy Smith. I'm a teacher here at Lincoln Park High School. I know this mic is for the other. Waiting. I've been teaching here for 20 years. I'm waiting for Amy to start her timer. Let me know when so I can.
Down, huh?
Okay. Well, you're normally here too. I can read the number upside down.
I'm getting a son.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm also a member of our PPLC. I see that our teacher representative is not present tonight, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to let you know just the status of things that we've been trying to cover with our PPLC. I did realize today as well that our last meeting in December that we had with our programmer, those notes had not gone out yet to the staff. Not so much more of an on our end side of things to finalize than anything else. But we have met with our programmer, bringing up some of the concerns that we've had over the past 4 years with programming and its problems. She's given us some timelines. We are moving into that phase. I'm sure Dr. Steinmiller will be talking a little bit more about that today. But that was a close to 40-minute explanation of programming going on. A few of our other concerns are just space utilization, again, that we've been talking about. And of course, some other concerns about teachers with their type 75s filling in for administrators in certain situations and what the actual legal ramification is about that. We're hoping to be able to have a meeting with Dr. Steinmiller at some point and follow up with those things. But December being December, it was quite hard to do. Otherwise, that's it. How am I on time?
You have 40 seconds. Anything else you want to impart?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Smith. Anyone online with comments?
There are 3 attendees, and if you're online and would like to speak, please raise your virtual hand. Then I do not see anybody wishing to participate.
Okay, great. Thank you. Next item is to vote on the approval of minutes. Thank you, Alicia, our secretary, for providing the minutes for December and November. And I had one just comment myself. There were I sent you an email, a couple names to just get updated, just a spelling of a couple names. But otherwise that was it. So with the inclusion of those just spelling items, I'd like to propose that we vote to approve the minutes. So is there a second?
I second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Great. So the November, December minutes are now approved. And I will work to get those posted on the website as well, which is something that we need to make sure we're doing. Next is celebrations for Lincoln Park High School. This is when we take a moment to put a spotlight on some things that are going great around campus or in the community. Anyone have anything they'd like to raise?
Nice start to the school year after New Year's and a lot of celebrations. We had the week kind of going into it. There were a lot of great just kind of celebrations and positivity going into the break. We've come back from break and have a lot of activities coming up and things at school. So we're just kind of excited about when we're going. We have finals next week. Kids are
That's
studying
cause for
hard.
celebration.
There
For
was
sure.
we know that one of our LSC members put a tree out in front of our school for students. It's pretty awesome.
Only I did. Nobody else did because they don't care about the school.
So, but it was real positive. And then just a lot, and also some real positive work over the winter break from our custodial and engineering teams. Just we've built another dumpster. Get our building ready for everybody to return. So it's really proud of a lot of the work they've been doing.
The one I would call out that happened close to break was the basketball team, boys basketball victory over Whitney Young. I think was very satisfying for many people around campus. Even got some press coverage in the Sun Times, I think.
Wait,
So,
what got press coverage?
just the Whitney Young basketball game back in December.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's something else going on. Yeah. Anyone else? No? Okay. Well, let's keep on trucking. Next is LSC Budget Subcommittee. Laura, I'm going to turn it over to you. I know there was a meeting earlier this week, but anything you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, I don't know. We want to bring up the budget transfers now.
Doing trying to pull it up.
Yeah. All right. So while Dr. Steinmiller is pulling up the budget transfer tracker, just wanted to identify a couple of things that we did talk about during our subcommittee meeting. Really, it's highlighting the fact that we're looking pretty good on tracking all of our spending. A lot of the items here, as you can look at the budget tracker, are really just Miss Lopez doing her due diligence of moving money around from one account to another account. All of those items that are identified in blue are under the $10,000 threshold. They're really kind of there to provide additional supplies for departments. Most of the departments ordered their supplies in the summer just to kind of get ahead of things. There is one department, however, the science department, that we knew was going to be ordering things closer to the date of when they needed materials, simply because they have live specimens and things that are kind of can deteriorate over time. So that's the line item that's highlighted in yellow. That request is for, and I'm sorry, let me take a look in front of me here. It's $11,056. This was a budget item that we did anticipate having to pay for this semester, and we just want to make sure that the LSC is aware of it, and we do need to vote on this as it is over the 10,000 threshold. So we can make a motion to vote for this budget item now, or we can go through the rest of the meeting notes. Does somebody want to make a motion to approve $11,056 to fund the science department for live specimens?
I move.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Abstain? Okay. Motion passes.
All right. So the other items that we talked about are our internal accounts. If we go to the second tab, we'll see that we are getting some funds from ticket sales for sporting events. All the dollars from sporting events are going to support athletics. This is great because now we have additional funds for things like transportation, for uniforms, for just equipment overall. So we did discuss that. We also have a $190 that we're going to be putting against the performing arts. There was a choir fee from last year of $190, and we're basically clearing a negative. It's $190, which again is below the threshold. And I think again, to support the choir, it makes sense to put that money towards that. And then we have the Majorettes Club as well that raised about $573 that's going towards their club to support their efforts. So just want people to be aware of things that are happening with the internal accounts and how money's being moved around. The other thing that we did take a look at were the student fees and what we've collected so far for this fiscal year or calendar year, school year. Right now we have received $335,073 for the 25 student year. We are still waiting on additional collections. All of the fee waivers have been put into Aspen and partial fee waivers. So communication will start to be sent out to parents who have yet to pay their student fees. They can certainly request for waivers, additional kind of, you know, they can talk to the administration about whether or not they can pay for the full $400. But those who have any balances that are still outstanding will start to receive communication. And so I think we're going pretty well on that. We're going to continue to track it just to make sure that that communication is happening. And then the other thing that we talked about were the rental fees that we were collecting. As you know, we do rent out our space to Chicago Sports and Social. We also have the parking lot and the cell phone tower that we collect rental income from. Again, we're doing pretty well with Chicago Sports and Social. We get regular payments from them through Facilitron. The other two items, the cell phone tower and the parking lot, we don't get rental income consistently. So Ms. Lopez has to do her due diligence and follow up with that, which she does reach out on a pretty regular basis. So we know that there are some additional dollars that we should be receiving from that rental income. And I think that was about it.
Oh, there was one fundraiser.
Oh.
Teenage Student Union selling various candy grams for holidays. Yeah.
Yeah, for various holidays, right?
Yep.
Yep. So I believe that since it's for do we have to vote on this one or is
So
this?
we can do the fundraiser. It's for how they use the funds that we do. And it does require, anytime you do a fundraiser, we want to present it before the LSC so that the chair can at least sign off on it. So that's why we want to make sure it's presented before everybody, because it does go to the chief next and they have to also sign off on it, even if it is school-based. So it doesn't officially require approval, but it does require notice. I don't know if that's the right word, but that's good. The chair. And I would, so moved. I mean, I don't know if we require, but yeah.
Yeah.
What's the, sorry, what's
we're
the
voting
Candy grams, a fundraiser for the
To approve the fundraiser.
just so I'm
Teenage-
clear procedurally, we're voting on this because the use is different. I thought we did a blanket approval on all.
we-
This is, yeah.
I'm sorry.
But they're selling something specific. So they're selling candy grams. So what we approved was spiritware donations, and they can purchase their own uniforms. That's like the blanket thing for everybody. So any group, they're doing something specific with grams. So it's unique from those three. So it's important that we present it. They officially can do the fundraising. It's then what they do with the money is really
We
where
need-
the LSC is
Gotcha.
directing. So we're just trying to do it all at once. The proceeds will go to the club itself to be able to do it. It's their own.
I think this wasn't presented during the budget
don't-
committee
it
because I don't
wasn't.
think it was on the tracker yet. So But I motion to approve it because I think that, you know, it's great to have various fundraisers to support a club. So if you need a motion or
Okay. So motion, I think, is
Second.
there a second? Okay,
Second.
all those in favor? Aye. Great. May the candy grams go forth. Laura, I had a couple questions just on what you reported out, if I could. The student fees, 335,000 so far this year. What did we collect total last year? Do you know? Or how does this compare? I'm just wondering like how we're doing generally.
Oh, actually, I misstated that. I'm so
Okay.
sorry. That 335,000 is our internal accounts balance. My apologies.
Okay.
So far this year for school year 24-25, we have collected $240,425, which is about 50% of what we anticipate collecting for this school year. So we still actually have another 250,000 to collect for this school year. I think, and I got to do the math and I can get back to you on this. We're tracking better than we did last year. And I think last year we ran into the issue where we split up the payment. We had a fall payment and a spring payment. Again, lack of communication, lack of follow through, not to kind of point anybody out, but I think this year we are learning from that. And so we had all the student fees presented at one payment. And we're going to hopefully do a better job of communicating out to our parents so that can pay that in full. So
Great. And it sounds like, Dr. Samuel, we're further along in verifying, you know, waiver, non-waiver, and we can start that.
Yeah, that's all done.
Okay.
Already entered
Great.
and done, and that goes with any of our. So it's all been entered. So anytime that would be applicable.
So when would parents who have not paid, who should pay, start hearing from the school?
And so we're gonna get through finals in semester one. Yeah.
Okay. So like later this month. Okay. Great. Great.
Is
Yeah.
that going to be a blanket email to everybody, or is it going to
Just those
be
who haven't paid.
okay?
Yeah, so
So-
actually, because we have all of the waivers already entered, we know exactly who to target. So those who don't have the fee added to their account, it's because they have the waiver already. So we did a different process this year than we did last year. Last year, the half sum was just added to everybody's account at the very beginning of the school year. We did e-pay this year where people paid it before anything was added to their account, so that we would receive the money that for those that they already kind of know they don't qualify or weren't applying for it. Those applying for it were kind of like pulled up if they thought they were eligible, hold off on paying that e-pay. So we received that right away. And then we have their funds, they're checked off that they've paid. And then the remaining families that were waiting on whether they were approved for a waiver or not, those are the ones then we entered the financial income information forms into the system. Waivers came back. So everybody who did not qualify, we then applied that to their account. So we just did a different process. So it wasn't just a blanket, everybody has a fee added to their account. We actually had everybody pay that knew they were going to pay anyway, and have gone through this process of making sure the waivers were added before we were putting in people's account. So when somebody has it in their account, they have to pay. The waiver wasn't applied to them.
So I guess just make sure that when that's communicated, that it's communicated, you are receiving this because you haven't paid, because I think what happens is people are like, did I pay? Didn't I pay? I'm not sure.
That's why we did this process differently. So that when we email, it is to only those who have not paid.
But that needs to.
Yeah. And the communication will be that you
Okay.
have not paid. We need you to pay by this date. If you have run into a financial situation, please reach out to blank. So we already have that plan of action.
Does that also, that email, will that also list out if the waiver has been denied? Just as a point of clarification, because maybe some of them.
Yeah, what we'll say is all financial income information forms have been entered. So if you feel like this is, then reach out to the main office, but we have applied all of them. So it'll be very direct that you need to pay this. All financial income information forms have been entered into the system. If you're receiving this, there's an outstanding balance that needs to be paid. If you need any additional assistance, please reach out to the office.
And I think we also recommended adding that payment link onto the newsletter so folks have another way to make that payment. So if they've received an email and then they're seeing it on the newsletter, they have another opportunity in which to kind of like issue that payment.
Great, great, thanks. That sounds like a process improvement and efficiency since last year for much needed funds. So thank you. On the sports tickets, I saw the line item was like $3,000 something. That reflects the money we've earned from ticket sales so far this year. Okay. And that's good, I assume. Yeah. We haven't been doing that as consistently in the past, right? So this is sort of net new source of revenue.
Yeah. So from what I understand, they're using a different process for receiving payment on tickets, which has been helpful, and
Okay.
we're recognizing those dollars and putting it towards the athletics,
Okay.
which is great.
That's great. Great. And then with the, not getting regular payment on the tower and the parking, is that historically, is that like a monthly thing or is this a once a year thing? Like, I'm just wondering how often.
So it was around COVID when we went into the contract. The district goes into a so there's two different ways in which the funds are collected. So the rental Chicago Sports and Social is through Facilitron, and it's through us. So it still goes through Facilitron, but that does a monthly payout. So that's a process for using school property to rent space. The cell tower and the parking lot do not go through Facilitron. They go directly through the district. So the district bids out our cell tower and the district bids out our parking lot. So the monthly funding doesn't come through the same process in which we can monitor and support. It goes through the district and then they give us money. They haven't. And so there's supposed to be a payment for a parking lot on a monthly basis. We have not been receiving it. That's why Ms. Lopez is regularly sending it. The cell tower, it comes in like chunks. And there hasn't been a rhyme or reason to it, but it comes in chunks. I can say that after like 14 years in CPS and as an administrator, the amount was about $60-something thousand and has trickled down to around 30. I bet you more money is still coming in over the last 14 years, but we as a school are receiving this. So I don't know what the final number is because that's not us bidding it out. We do get a percentage of it.
Okay. Is there, since we do Chicago Sports Social on our own, can we move the other two to that format where we'd have more control?
That's district structure. So they bid out all schools. So
but not their gyms. It just seems weird.
Well, we control the inside of the space. So if we have to open our doors.
Okay.
We have to manage who's coming in and out. I have to work with our custodial team. I have to work with our engineers. Like we have to make sure that we can actually facilitate it. The parking lot's outside. The cell tower is outside, and they do an at-large bid. So they bid all 602 one or two schools in the district, and you see in line like all the schools and how much they're trying to get.
Okay. All right. So Miss Lopez is trying to get that money. That's great. Thanks.
Yeah,
Those
I
are
don't
my
think you
questions,
wanna-
Laura.
I don't think you want to roll the gym into that format because they take money away from us from the bid.
Yeah. No, I was thinking
Whereas here we're keeping, I think, all of it.
Majority of it.
Yeah.
It's still a cut goes to Facilitron /
Okay. Great. So that is our budget items. Thank you. Next is Friends of Lincoln Park High School. I don't know if there's anyone online from FOL to report out or anyone in the room or in the hallway.
If you're on Friends of and you're in the attendance, please raise your hand. If you're on Friends of.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't.
Okay. I'm not.
Well, I consider myself Lincoln Park's best friend, mostly because of my school spirit alone.
Fair. There's
Nobody
Friends
else
of,
has it.
there is
That
a Friends of
sucks.
meeting tomorrow. Not tomorrow, but next week. So I'll follow up even at that meeting just to make sure that we have a clear report out to come to.
Okay. Great. So now we're on to principal report. And so I'll turn over to you, Dr. Steinmiller.
You got it. I mean, this is kind of a unique time for as we have the LSC meeting because we had an LSC meeting right before the break. We just had break. We just came back from break. So there's not a ton to update on, but I do want to make sure I'm hitting a couple of key points as we go through this. one of those, some of the things that we are focusing on right now is one, we have our finals are on Monday and Tuesday of next week. This is really an important, critical part of our students' progress and success. And then the end of the quarter is next week. This is unique to how it was last year. Obviously, last year we started earlier, we started later. So the first semester carries over into the second semester. Based off of CPS's schedule anticipated for next year that's already been shared, we'll be back on a more normal schedule where the break is more clear at winter break, which I think is a benefit to just the continuum of learning for students. But that's coming up, so really excited about finishing out the semester. Following the semester, we will have our professional development with our teachers, as well as some of our assemblies with our students as we start focusing on programming. And hitting some of those key benchmarks. This part of the programming point is in which we are preparing for students as they're transitioning to the next grade level, and whether they want to make changes in programs of study, if they want to go into diploma or into a different program from really the 10th to 11th grade year. But it's also a point in which teachers are going to be making recommendations for whether the next selection for students. So one of the things we'll talk about more at the professional development, but also departments are talking about right now is as they start finishing up assessments of students is what does that look like for the individual student? What is the recommendation to the next class? We are using the exact same format that we did last year. It's extremely structured. And what it looks like, I'll share that presentation just so you can kind of get a glimpse of it. And then next, in 2 weeks, I'll be sharing that with our students. And I've talked to our department chairs already about it, so let me bring that up briefly. Here we go. All right. So this is a portion of what will be presented to our students at the assemblies in 2 weeks. Let me just make sure it's right. Should I click on the right one? All right, cool. Let me make it in a better view for you. So obviously we'll engage our students reviewing the different programs of study. They will all end up receiving a paper that says what program of study, who their counselor is. I'll share that in just a second. But basically we do an overview of the different programs. This is the same overview and presentation that we do at the beginning of, during our open houses and different ways that we engage our students. And I've shared with you before, there are basically 6 different programs of study that we have: advanced college prep, IB diploma program, visual arts, drama, vocal, and instrumental. We talk about what that looks like for all of our 9th and 10th graders, what it looks like for our 11th and 12th graders, so they get a better understanding of this transition, especially for our 9th graders and our 10th graders. Our juniors and seniors have this figured out. Seniors definitely because, well, they're done. So there's nothing to really program for next year. And we go through the flow of what does it look like. And again, I've shared this information previously with like in our open house kind of presentation, but just how students can make these types of transitions over the course of their 4 years. And again, this is just an example. And I know I'm going kind of super speed through it, but it's just so students know what's going on. And then clarifying what does it mean to be in the careers program. So our students, when they enroll and go through Go CPS, there isn't a careers program option. That really is only for our 10th graders, in which we communicate to our 10th graders. Today, Mr. Konzen, our IBCP coordinator, had some information sessions. He's going to do some in the next 2 to 3 weeks as well. And this is an opportunity to talk to our students. This is also a point in which our students put in for a program of study change form, a form in which they request if they want to change. So for example, if they want to move into the diploma program, how are they going to counselor, their teacher, their parents? How are they making the argument of why they should move into it? And then that's presented to our coordinators so they can help make informed decisions along with their counselors in this process. So we also present, hey, here are what the classes look like. So they have a full idea of the different options that they can take, such as a student in the IB, not an IB, for example, could be able to take English 3, or they could take an AP Lang Comp class. So that would be the type of recommendations that they will, conversations they'll have with their sophomore English teachers. Hey, are you going into English 3 or are you going into the AP Lang Comp class, and making that recommendation. So we have that for basically every content area. and also really emphasizing the importance of 4 years of math, science, English, social studies, but also language as the opportunity to be multilingual. And that's something that we believe in strongly as an IB school. So you can see all these different options right here. Here are the elective options that we share with the students. And again, they will have access to this in Google Classroom, so they can spend some time to really think about what options do they have their junior year. And this is set specifically for our rising juniors, not rising seniors. That's a different one. And so we go over all of these forms. This is the choosing a class process in which we've developed over the last couple of years to really help our students make informed decisions and our teachers to be a part of that process. And so what students will receive is this on cardstock. It will be informed by the counselor, will be pre-printed. It'll be which division they're in, so they know which counselor they have, which program of study they're in. It also includes their semester 1 grades. So it's not like they're talking with their teacher and go, yeah, I have all A's in everything except your class. Well, they don't have that option. It's here. So you see a pattern, and that helps us in decision making. If a student is finding high levels of success across the board, then that helps them. Or if a student is struggling across the board, it also is a flag to some of our teachers of like reflecting on the program of study is what is the best pathway for that student. Regardless, this is what is already pre-populated. What students start to engage with is what is the course they're going to take next year. They get their teacher, and at this point, the teacher will sign off that they approve the student going into that class. And also an alternate course if it's an elective, because we want to make sure we have a substantial number of alternatives in case the class is full or it doesn't even make because there's not enough students. And so teachers will do this with every single student. We have a day designated for our, I believe it's the 26th, February 26th, but don't misquote me because I'm off the top of my head. After our PD day. So our PD day, our teachers are going to receive all of the sheets. They'll give them to their students for their class, and the students will carry it with them throughout the day, getting signatures. Some of our teachers have created some really robust ways of creating just feedback sessions with our students following the first semester to talk about where they are in their learning and how they can be successful moving forward. So it has a double benefit of not just programming, but a feedback session, which is what we're striving for. Again, this is the example of the full letter that our students received with a little bit of heading and information before it. Now, there are times in which students and teachers don't agree. And so we have a structure for that. A student can complete a course recommendation disagreement form. You know, teacher says, you know what, I'm really concerned about your attendance and some of your skills of where you are at right now. Then the teacher can say, I don't agree with signing for you to go into AP Physics. And so at that point, the student can say, you know what, I really want to try this. Well, they can fill out the form. The student tells why they makes an argument of why they should be able to go into the class. The teacher makes comments about why they are concerned. Parents can also fill that out. It goes directly to me. I'll be very honest about how this process works. I receive these disagreement forms. I put them in a file and I hold on to them. I hold on to them until May. And what a student has an opportunity to do is prove the teacher right or wrong. If the teacher is, hey, I'm concerned about some of the study skills, but the student over that period of time can demonstrate that they've developed it, then I go back to the teacher and I say, do you still disagree with this? And I'll tell you, very often a teacher will go, you know what? I think they've demonstrated that they can do it. There are situations in which the student doesn't. Then I don't even go back to the teacher. I look the grade up. If the grade is a D and they're still trying to get into that, then I support the teacher fully. So in the end, I have yet to run across a situation where I disagreed with a teacher. The teacher, it's a way to give time to, and actually, and to motivate a student to still advocate for themselves, but also to make changes in what the teacher is giving feedback on. And so I think that's, again, this has kind of two processes as well. One, it helps our students develop some of the skills that they need, but it's also a way for a teacher to give very specific feedback about how a student can find success to be able to be recommended into that other class. And so that's another process that we have in place, and that will be taking place over the next couple of weeks. Yeah.
Quick question. Does that apply to all students in all grades?
Yep.
Including seniors?
Yep. Well, seniors will not, because they're taking classes next year. We've messed up. So no, the senior session will really be about FAFSA and college applications. So they'll be moving on to college next year. So that's what our conversation with them will be about, is college selection, FAFSA. And so Mr. Young is really driving a lot of that with them. But this is really for our freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, or a better way to describe it, rising sophomores, rising juniors, rising seniors. And we have a different process for freshmen. That is our immediate structure and support right now. We actually had our second semester. You have to build the schedule for the second semester. That was committed before the break. It's actually due Friday tomorrow. So we were actually in advance of that, so we can continue to work on these processes. So I met with our department chairs. Our departments have been working on having some time to be able to kind of pre-think some of these recommendations prior to our PD next in 2 weeks. And so as they're finalizing grades, they can kind of already have a little notes to be prepared for it. Like I said, we have a day set aside for basically teacher feedback day. So we have that already set on the professional learning calendar. At that point, following that, which will be immediately after spring break. So what happens is we'll have recommendation day. They'll all be turned in. Then our counselors will meet with all of our rising seniors over an entire week, and they'll put it all in Aspen. Then they're going to meet with all of our rising juniors and put it in Aspen, all rising sophomores and put it in Aspen. Then it's spring break. We come back from spring break. They collect on anybody that's missed. We then do a calculation of how many classes we have, and I meet with the department chairs to make sure that how many sections do we need? What does that look like, so that we can start loading our students into classes? So that's in short the process. Go for it.
Is any sense how many students are trying to take the course? No.
Teens at most, even close, maybe not even the teens. I think like last year, maybe I got 15 or 16. And so it wasn't a lot, but I think that's because teachers spent really meaningful time having those conversations. So a student really understood why they were being recommended one way or another. And I would say, and this is not exact, but I would say 2/3 of the disagreements, the teacher reached out to me before I could even reach out to them and said, you know what, I think Johnny can do it. Let's go with it. And so, yeah, because what we'll do is when we get all the recommendations into Aspen, we share that list with the teachers so they can review it just to make sure to kind of proof it. And then at the end of the year, we will share that list again, just in case there's been a change or a concern that, hey, I made the recommendation, but now I'm starting to really be concerned about this and what's going on. And often when we see that happen, it's because there's maybe something else going on individually with that student that we're concerned about. It could be mental health. It could be just something that's happened in their life. That tends to be the pattern of what I see at the end of the year, but also is just who knows what's going on. So we try to then work with that student and figure out what's going on. So again, programming in a way can also, scheduling him in a way can have so many other added benefits if we do it this way. So that's our process of and our immediate thing with programming. And by the February LSC meeting, we'll start that and be able to kind of talk about what this will look like going into that next phase.
Could I just ask the students real quick? This is a process you all have been through. It seems to be working from what we're hearing. Do you guys find that it's a useful process, or?
I think so. Having from personal experience, having wanting to go into a class and a teacher speaking with me and saying I think maybe you should think about this some more. I think that just a little bit of advice would be to say have the teacher go over it with the student in the easiest way possible, just sort of the lightest way, the nicest way, because saying oh, I don't think you have the academic skill, is essentially what the student is going to hear is, I don't think you're smart enough to get into this class. So just sort of maybe when on PD day or something, when talking about, maybe just discuss with the teachers and say, just go when speaking with students about this, say it in the easiest way possible. Because I know that a lot of students, more sensitive ones and ones who are more insecure about their academic skill, will take it more to heart than ones who have more academic confidence.
Makes
Okay.
sense.
Thank you. Thank you. Jiley, were you going to comment? Okay.
I think the best thing is when teachers are communicative across like different. I'm in the AP program, so moving from AP United States History to AP Gov, it was really important that I knew what I would be learning in AP Gov. So just having teachers who are like knowledgeable about the other course options for students, so they explain that and you know what you're choosing before you choose it.
Okay. Very good. Great feedback. Thank you so much.
All right, let me hop into the next thing. And this will actually cover some of our committee reports because we did not have those. So hopefully we can check off some of those right now. So just to be able to talk about it. There aren't any major athletic updates. We have hired some additional new coaches for the spring. So those were some of our vacancies. Obviously we're focusing on tonight. We have a big event going on that we're focusing on as well. So a lot going on with that. Miss Morris is a director of extracurriculars, is working on some of the fundraising and funding needs to create some sustainability. But we can report more on that actually next month. There hasn't been a lot of change from December to now. But what I will report on is kind of safety and security. I know that's maybe a committee that we don't move forward with, but I can report out on just some of the things even associated with facilities. And I think it's important we bring this up as we see some of the events that have happened in like Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin, the shootings, and as we have seen, even in New Orleans with like what has happened with people just with vehicles, and as we even think about thefts, I'll say on Monday we had one of our teachers' bikes stolen. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen, where a man with a circular portable saw walked up Armitage into our mall, straight to the bike lock, cut the U-lock off, hopped on the bike, went out, and within 40 seconds, walked right into our mall. That's not acceptable. That's not okay. Obviously, there may be some, this person obviously was casing bikes and was aware of kind of like what type of lock was on it. But what we're going to do moving forward, and we've been working on this for 2-3 years, and working on the next step of our communication. Our vulnerable point to our school is our mall. I've talked about this before. I already told the gate to Armitage has been installed. A lock has been put on it that you can't access from the other side. In circumstances of fire going out to Armitage, you can turn it and open it so we can go to the mall, but those coming from Armitage can no longer access it. I'm going to communicate. We have a structure for this, but starting in February, that gate will be shut at the end of first period. This will we had a car on Tuesday, a Tesla, fly down our mall. This isn't the first time. We know this is a common issue that keeps happening with cars, and it's at some point, somebody will be hurt. We had an attempt right before break for somebody to sneak a young person trying to sneak into our school during transition that didn't go here. They made it through the entrance to the door, but were identified coming through the door by our security and left. And so that is unacceptable. And that is something that is a danger. If any of these individuals, and that's why I'm referencing these other things, is these easily can be more severe and dangerous situations. So we will be shutting that. We have a communication plan. We're going to start shutting one gate, and we're going to communicate that on this date, this will be fully closed at this time. Here are the hours. I've already talked to Mr. Hardesty about some of the communication. We're putting the precise wording together right now. On this side, not the from where our freshman building is, the corner where the JRTC room is, not the gym, we will have a temporary fence, which will be kind of a mesh, not a snow fence, but like more of a mesh fence of 5 to 6 feet in height that will be closed after second period, so that we basically have a courtyard between the two spaces. Signage will go on that. The reason we need it on this side is obviously you can still access the building, but also we know a lot of people walk that way, and we'll just keep opening the gate up. And so we will have these two spaces set up to make sure that we have secure. So when our students are transitioning, our security can just focus on the transition, and there isn't anybody walking out up to us. Students who are going off campus will still use the door for off campus that we have established. That is why we've established it, because we knew this was moving forward. We now have an A phone, which is where you buzz in. When you come to our main door and you buzz in, we had one installed. They finished installation today to the back door off of Burley, the back street. I can't remember Howe. Maybe it's Howe. Thank you very much. Howie Burley's over here. Howe. And that is where our deliveries moving forward. Deliveries are going to go to the back door. They'll be able to buzz in. Security will be able to let them in, and deliveries will be stored in the back. So we won't have UPS trucks and we won't have mail all coming through the mall while our students are trying to go to class. This is a way in which we create a safer space for our students to the best of our ability. Is anything perfect? Absolutely not. But this is a step moving forward to really protect our students. And I've been advocating for this for several years to just get to this point. And we are waiting on the A phone because we still have to have deliveries and we can't just have people walk to that back door. So that will happen starting in February. There's going to be heavy communication coming out. Signage will go up first, but it's a really important part that covers the safety of our students, staff, and everybody in our learning community. It's also part of our facilities that we've really been focusing on, because it is just every week there's something that could be that potential thing that where one of our kids get hurt. And so we just have to do all we can. I've been working with facilities to have a permanent fence that will be put up. There'll be like a sliding gate that'll shut. It costs $20,000. We have 2 more bids going out on it. And once that's approved, then we'll have that installation. I'm concerned they'll eventually punt it to us. If they do, then I think it's something worth fundraising for, because I just we can't wait. We just can't. And it has added benefits, which is attendance. And the primary thing of this is safety, but the added benefits of this in attendance is, if you're a freshman, the only doors you can get out of are door 1 over here and then the off-campus door, or you're setting off an alarm. And so freshmen have learned that they can still sneak off when their things go, because when we're short, we have 12 security and we're down to 5 or 4. They know that we can't monitor the transition as easily. That's also part of the safety issue, is if we have at least a secure barrier, then when we are short security, we don't have to have 4 people out there. We can have 1 out there and still have at least a consistency of seeing if somebody's going towards the fences or coming from that direction inappropriately. And so these are things that we're continuing to work through some of the process, but I think it's a major move towards the safety of our students. Like I said, our biggest thing is then we can cancel somebody having off-campus privileges, which means they will have to be in the school, and there's no way to go outside besides door 1 where we have security stationed. This is the benefit that schools that have our single buildings have, because that's how they're structured. We have 2 buildings, and it is a huge part of some of how we're gonna be able to improve some of our attendance, but also safety. So I wanted to kind of put all of that into one. I've already been in communication with the aldermen as well as neighborhood groups about it. They fully understand the perspective and support it. And so I do imagine, and not to like target certain groups, but some of the dog walkers are going to be upset. They're up there. I mean, we have traffic from some community members walking their babies, and I know, but we're going to work and communicate, and here's the direction you go. Here's the avenues to not be confused with it. We'll work and talk with anybody who has any concerns. That's what I'm there for, to be able to talk to them about it. Again, this is a public space, and not a public space, but this is a part of our school. And we have people trying to have their dogs play in our fences. And that's not, I mean, in the morning, I have to tell, please, some of our kids are deathly afraid of dogs. Like, that's not okay to have. So this will help us in a lot of different ways. Yeah.
Do you think that, like, maybe since it is like a communal area, like right next to a district field, that we could put like as well as like signage around the school, like for the community, the rest of the community who isn't coming in the school regularly, like something on the sign and announcement to say, to like just let them know like
No,
a
that's a
week
good
or
point.
2
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, the marquee. Good. That's a great idea. Yeah, we'll have signage on the fence, but I like the marquee idea too. Yep, that's cool. Thank you. So,
And just on the line, like, is Howe Street then, like, if I live on Howe, am I gonna feel like now it's UPS alley? Like, I live in I don't know how often the deliveries are, but
It's a
do
big
we-
I mean, Amazon is everywhere.
well, I know, but
So,
Yeah,
but it hasn't been for them, is my point.
well, we do actually have a lot of delivery. So deliveries for cafeteria, that's the same location for deliveries for cafeteria. So
is there a loading sign?
there is a loading space there, and it's a wider ramp. So they're utilizing our ADA accessible ramp. That is double the size, and it's going to be easier for transporting like actually pallets up. So there's gonna be a lot of some additional benefits to it. It is along our alley where we have deliveries of salt. So we already have a series of deliveries in the back. This will just be UPS. It'll be Amazon, those specific kind of vendors.
So the big industrial stuff. That's all. I'm just thinking about the community impact. We're trying to like build relationship with the community. Just trying to understand the impact.
Yeah, there's already deliveries there, so I don't think it would be. They may see an increased frequency, but I don't think they're going to be. Actually, Ms. Hurd can probably speak
It's
to.
not new. In the past, we've always taken deliveries in the alley in the back of the building. This is just the way it used to be.
Okay.
And wasn't a problem.
Okay.
We
Great.
had a couple of neighbors that would complain, but
Okay.
school.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, but it was never a problem in the back.
Okay.
And I think that would even be better for us.
Yeah.
Custodial staff. It would be great for us.
Good. Good. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
It's also like a family kind of area. A lot of like parents will be able to work that you get Yeah, I was just wondering if there was like proper loading signs, because I know like you probably are familiar with the aldermen around here. You just call the alderman and ask them to put some parking signs up in
Yeah.
back where they're loading. They probably
I'll
could
review and
do
check.
that.
And we used to have some signs back there, but guess somebody knocked them down. There used to be a couple of signs. Mhm.
No, we've had dog signs cut off.
Yeah, and that's to that end, like as you're building the communication strategy, I think as people, once we know this is starting to happen, when we do see people walking their dogs, even proactively reaching out, saying, hey, just wanted you to know this is coming. Here's why, because if not,
That's will be some of the signage. I mean, I have dogs and I love walking them too, but our staff have been cursed out just by asking them to not play with their dog in front of the main entrance. And their dogs have I think a lot of people they find other places, but we will communicate that. We will be very polite in doing so. And there have been some people who are just absolutely wonderful and being like, oh, I'm sorry. And they remove their dog. And there's people who just been very unkind people.
If I could just add, just quick gratitude. I could see, taking what happened recently as a pat on the back because we caught the person who was trying to sneak in the school, so the system worked. But, in balancing community interests, folks who want to walk their dogs and student safety, I appreciate your proactiveness from what it sounds like in terms of prioritizing student safety, which I think many of us would agree is, nothing's more important.
Appreciate it. I know, and lastly on some of my list, I know that we talked about presenting out on IB. I know we came back from the break. So I know Ms. Tookie is here, but I know we can talk about that and then maybe at a future meeting. Does that sound like
that'd be great.
Meeting?
Thank you. Yeah, because they just weren't able to be part of that state of the school, and IB is central to the school, so we'd love to have that student data.
Good.
Okay.
That's it.
And then in terms of like attendance versus last year, are we about the same? Is it improving?
It's improved 2 to 3% from last year at each benchmark point, but that's still not good enough. We're actually going to talk about that a little bit with our teachers at the PD day. One area that has grown the most, our Black male student population, we think of subgroups, is 5% improvement from last year, but 89% is not good enough. And so we're thinking about additional things. We are going to talk with our teachers about chronic absenteeism. It is a district nationwide issue. Of 30 plus schools, we probably have the third or fourth lowest percentage of chronic absenteeism, but it's 29% for us. Like, that's not good. And so it's selective enrollment schools were around 14%, so it's like there's some things that we really have to kind of address to be able to support our students better. So part of our session with our teachers are going to actually be, how can we work together and think through even better options? I firmly believe also this added benefit of creating a safe space here, our freshman attendance will be the highest it's ever been because they can't go anywhere. So our freshmen will be the most upset group of students. when we do this because there isn't a reason. And I know our teachers have gone to Starbucks and been like, you're a freshman with a yellow something. How are you here? For them to do that, they'll have to be really creative. And then we'll be able to address actually when we have a smaller group, it'll give us capacity to be able to do things a little bit differently too.
Is there like a sort of like a policy or like kind of something where like teachers see like freshmen or like what used to be like underage, I guess, students like off campus where they needed to like report it or something?
An incident report can be reported, but that's really difficult. Like a teacher doesn't know who they are. Right. It's not really the teacher's job to do that at that point, especially when it's an organizational issue. It's not a teacher issue. It's a structural issue. It's a people power issue, And so again, the added benefit of having this space is our freshmen and also our upperclassmen. There isn't a way to just walk off in one of these two directions. Our upperclassmen will have one door and one door only to be able to go out of. And y'all know that you scan out and you go off campus. And when you come back, you scan back in. Yeah. And so if an upperclassman loses that privilege now when they scan and it goes, they're going to the cafeteria. And so some of the students who know they've lost their privileges know that if I walk down here during transition and I walk this way when we're short security, I can go off campus. I know it, they know it, and that's another thing in which this will stop that too. So there are gonna be some students who go, what? But at the assemblies we have in 2 weeks, we are communicating into it. I anticipate some boo coming, and that's going to be the best boo I've ever heard.
I feel like the next 4 years are going to be like the highest attendance.
I have a feeling.
Like,
very excited about it. So that's what I've got.
Smooth sailing.
And just on the athletics, you talked about coaches. Do we still have vacancies, or are we good?
We're filling some of our.
Because I remember looking at the minutes, we needed like a water polo coach and whatever. There were like 3 or 4 sports still.
Let me follow up on I knew that we had other candidates that are interviewing. Both of them are supporting the event today.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, thank you. Any other comments or questions from LSC council members on that? Okay. I guess the one other thing, Dr. Steinmiller, that was a big topic at the end of last year were the mock exams. And I know you've been engaging on that. I'm wondering if you have a update on the process.
Perfect. I don't want to say too much because we have that professional learning community that's been working very hard on reflecting on this. We have a meeting next week. I'm excited to kind of share out some of the initial thinking of what the schedule could look like. I don't think it's appropriate to do a full share out here without engaging and talking to them first. I don't think that's the order of operations appropriate. Sure. That's fine. But I'm very excited about how we can minimize our key points, increase instructional time, or minimize instructional disruption. I know we'll be able to achieve that. We will be able to minimize that. I think we will be able to build an improved, coherent schedule or calendar, and also improve the processes for feedback, meaning having an appropriate amount of time between mock until the actual exam and giving that time in which teachers can give that feedback. We have some teachers do they use the mock in such an amazing way to make sure that students know how to improve prior to it. But if we give a mock a day before the actual exam, there's no benefit. That is not an added benefit or value besides just the experience itself. And so our plan is to ensure that there is at least 2 weeks between to give time for that feedback. So that's something that we can put on the agenda for next because I think the next step will be to engage actually Ms. Smith is here. Ms. Tukey is here. I appreciate both of you participating on that professional learning community. I've given really invaluable feedback. Ms. Smith's skills also for engaging with Excel sheets and everything else is greatly appreciated. But we'll engage next week and then we'll share some of that out with our teachers during PD. And I think that's the right step. And then the next will be to share it out with you all. But I think that group has to have it first.
Great. Thank you. And then just one last thing from the December meeting. Would love just a little clarification. The students were talking about going through the locker room and finding broken lockers and going to do a fundraiser. And I was thinking, what about facilities or Miss Morris or Wheeler? Like how, I just don't want efforts going differently. And so I don't know, I'm curious your guidance on what should happen there.
Well, I think that should, I believe student voice, did you guys engage? Was Miss Morris was at one of your meetings as I,
Yeah.
so,
So her thing was about the announcements.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't about this, but she's been helping us figure out how to be approved for it. I'm not really sure how lockers came up. I think I was at an appointment during the meeting when we decided that like goal, but
Okay, well, maybe that's a follow-up then. I
yeah.
just wanted to
Well,
align
I'll talk about
efforts.
that when our time comes.
Yeah.
We can discuss.
Okay. All right. So I think we're on to committee reports then. Dr. Steinmiller has hit on a lot of these, so we may not have a lot to say. Budget we've already done. You talked about safety, security. I hear that committee is not meeting the same way it was. I guess from a violence perspective, or at least suspensions and school suspensions, fights. You had a lot of data last year showing how things have gotten better. We haven't seen any of that this year. I'm just curious, at a high level, are we trending the same as last year, better, worse? Because I don't want to think like, well, safety,
let me report out. I can report out on
Okay.
that. I know at the state of the school I did, and we were seeing some positive trends, but we've also had not like level 5, 6 upticks, but some of the lower ones. I know I can speak to.
Okay.
Where at one point we were having quite a few 5, 6 are pretty terrible. But I don't get like I can report. Let me report
Okay.
out on that more
For February.
Sure.
All right. Thank you. Facilities, we applied for a grant like a year ago for the auditorium. I think you were supposed to hear in the fall. Have you heard?
No, and our facilities manager is also working with the district to get everybody to follow up on the timeline of what that looks like.
Okay. And that was from the state, or where's the
It's from
grant
the state.
From the state. Okay. So that's
Working with, we followed up with grants as well as facilities and capital improvement on what the status was
okay.
on Monday.
Okay. And then one other thing that I've heard come up is scoreboards. I don't want to problem solve here, but one thing that came up is someone said you can like buy one on Amazon for the freshman gym for like $5,000. That would maybe be, I even sent it to, so I don't know if they're working, but I know we're trying to raise money but we don't have as much. And I just wonder, are there options? Where would be like where's that stuff at?
So that Miss Morris and
Miss
Miss Wheeler are working on it. I mean, I'll tell you right now, they went to today because it keeps glitching. We're working with Best Buy, getting different AC adapters. Mr. Hardesty, after he was done opening this up, was going there next to see if they could problem solve.
If you will,
It's an old, decades old, and it doesn't function. That's just
right.
it.
Are we talking about like a big?
The big scoreboard in our main gym is junk.
Okay.
Can I just bring up something?
Yes.
I forgot to buy tickets for the Lane Tech versus Lincoln Park game. And I can't go as a result because it's sold out. And our gym is very small. And you know what? I thought it was reckless at first, but now that I think about it, we probably do need a bigger gymnasium for basketball games, considering we always use, we're always either on the road or playing neutral sites.
That's a fair reflection. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I
agree.
mean, the basketball team definitely, I'm actually considering going to that ticket lady and giving her $10 to put into a trust fund for the school so that we can get money from the stock market that could potentially give us money to pay off contractors to convert the old shack of a freshman building into a new gym and better facilities and even classrooms built into it, a la Whitney Young.
Great. Thank you, George.
I think I might do that when I get let out.
Okay.
All right.
I think a new gym would be great.
I'll explain it to her, and my heart told me to do it first. When she said that to me, I was like, I was gonna refuse helping her with water polo, but now that I realize it, I think it would be a lot more constructive if I were to convince her with that, and then and then have the $10 that I would give her to go into the stock market and the rest right itself.
It's good decision making, sir.
Thank you. Okay.
Also, that
facilities.
bike lock guy should be found out soon. And we should find him on the security cameras and run it up with the police. And when we find him, we should find the bike owners and decide his punishment through them. If I was one of the bike owners, I wouldn't be very merciful.
Okay. So George, I'm going to move us forward. I do believe that process of, investigating is underway. Okay. Extracurriculars, student voice and student life. Over to you. Is there any report out you'd like to make?
Okay, so really all that's kind of like happening right now is like we're doing research for the fundraiser that we're doing. The lockers we had last week we had people go in and take surveys of the lockers. I have the numbers really fast.
That you don't have
okay.
to.
Well, with this week on Monday we had we were sort of doing research on the company that we have lockers in there now, figuring out what the prices are. I don't have the numbers for the boys locker room, but the girls locker room, it was in the tens of thousands of dollars. So the work that we're doing, I think it could be spread it will definitely take a couple years to reach because clubs doing fundraisers will not raise a couple $1,000s. But maybe we could spread it across a couple groups as well who just want to sort of get in on the action, do some fundraising. But we're working with Miss Morris. Today, actually, I spoke with her about getting the form in for being approved and everything because it was a PDF printed, not a Google form. So we couldn't do that over break. So that will be submitted and then we will update further. I think that's kind of it. Also, can we speak with you after just for a few minutes?
Right. Thank you, students. Let's see. PPLC and PPC, our teacher representative, Michelle Lascano, is not here. Ms. Smith in the public comments did highlight some of the issues that have been coming up. So we'll move on. Community relations. Zach, if you have anything to offer up or.
We met, I think we last met about 5 weeks ago. I want to say late November, early December. We've got memory here. I think we all had a couple of ideas we're following up on. One I was looking at was to see if there was maybe community support for the scoreboard.
Scoreboard, yeah.
That was unsuccessful. But still kicking the tires on a couple of other ideas. That was my action item. I'm trying to remember the others.
Yeah, I remember Paul had talked about trying to get maybe some journalists interested in the student success happening at the school and things like that. But
there's some discussion about trying to shout out and spread the word about some of the good things going on. And one being from the what do you call it? The state of the school, State of the Union speech. Some of the really good student achievement data and thinking about ways to try to get that good news out organically in the community. We got to come up with some ideas. So,
I can help with that in March. There's something I can't talk about yet, but in April it'll come out.
Okay, great. Principal evaluation. We're going to have move into closed session in just a minute just to talk a little bit about that. And that brings us to the end of our meeting, which at least our public meeting, which will finish with another opportunity for public comment. If anyone here would like to make a comment, we offer you 2 minutes at the mic, online or in person, to come and share your thoughts.
Still have 4 people online. If you'd like to speak, please raise your virtual hand. Not seeing any.
I do. It's a student achievements. I'm pulling it off of our school website. We have about 15 art students who got into All City. It is, myself and one of the art teachers went down for the student reception for that on Tuesday, which is really nice. It's at, School of Art Institute. So that's Adams and Wabash. And that's up until, it was going to be up until Sunday. I believe it's up until Tuesday now. So next Tuesday. So you have the opportunity, you can see the work of not only the students of Lincoln Park High School, but of students around, the city.
Cool. Thank you.
And 2 students made it to state as well and band.
What's that? What's
2 students in state, I made it state and band.
Oh,
Thank you so much for sharing the show.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cool.
okay, great. All right, so that brings us to the end of our meeting. Thank you all for coming. We're now going to move into closed session. I didn't know if, yeah, so is there a motion to, so what we'll do is we're going to move into closed session and, well, actually, I'll just wait till people exit and then we'll vote to go into closed section.
Adjourn?
Yeah, yeah, sure. You can stay.
Are we Peter, are we recording this?
We won't record.
Okay.
Well, I will record it separately.
Okay.
Let me stop it.
No, they're here. AP. They're here. I wonder, I thought she said there was a couple of boxes. Yeah.